All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all so much for coming out. This is a huge, huge announcement for our city today that I hope people will, I know everybody here appreciates how big this is, so hopefully it will ripple throughout the community as well. It all starts with our desire for everybody in our city to have the resources they need to succeed and to shine like the sun, as we'd say. So that's how we define our city value of compassion, to make sure that everybody has that respect here in our city. And our goal is to make sure it touches all neighborhoods in our city. And the value is baked into everything we do, from our cradle to career. That's our system of lifelong learning, our summer jobs program for our youth, our Give a Day week of service, 205,000 volunteers and acts of compassion last year, and to the efforts underneath the umbrella that we support our Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods with as well. The Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods, affectionately known as OSHN, manages citywide efforts like One Love Louisville, which is a call to action for every citizen to be the one to make a difference. So what can you do to step up and be that one person? Because I believe that we can all do something, and we're asked all the time by people, what is it that I can do to make a difference? So it's important that we have a variety of options for them. Ocean also supports a variety of programs in the city, like Reimage with the Kentuckiana Youth Career Center. So Reimage works with justice-involved youth. We've had 400 youth go through. We have a grant for another, is it 200 or 400? Another 200 will be going through Reimage. Of our first 400, so these are kids 16 to 21 years old, involved with the criminal justice system. They get a mentor, make sure they have a GED and a job. We've had a 95% success rate through Reimage. So what this tells us through these programs and others, if we have the resources, we can make a difference in a young person's life. Pivot to Peace is another example of that. Pivot to Peace is a hospital-based program where we're intervening with someone that's been a victim of a gunshot wound or a knife stabbing, surround them with caseworkers, surround them with family, oftentimes, and say, do you want a positive life where you can go into a peaceful life and productive life, or are you going to go back to the street and be in a life of violence? We have a very high success rate with Pivot to Peace as well. And then our overall community mobilization effort is called Cure Violence, where we take a look at violence as much as a public health department, Dr. Moyer's here, would look at an epidemic spreading throughout the community. So violent crime is a learned behavior. It's an epidemic. So the question is, how do you isolate the contagion and stop that so it stops its rippling throughout the community? So Cure Violence approaches violence through a public health lens. So all these programs are managed by Ocean, and these programs work with many people who have something in common. And that is that people that have experienced traumatic events sometime in their life, or more than likely, lots of times in their life as well. And what we know by exposure to trauma, especially repeated trauma, they leave psychological scars that unfortunately affect a lot of people for the rest of their lives. We know now more than ever about the debilitating effects that trauma can have on people. We just wrapped up our Week of Valor on Sunday. We had 17 different events to support veterans. And part of our commitment to veterans is connecting those who need services with the help they need to overcome a variety of life challenges. But one of those that we focus on is PTSD, the type of traumatic experiences that too many of our veterans have suffered in defense of our country. It doesn't stop there, obviously, with trauma. We know that too many of our kids are exposed to trauma, oftentimes even before they were born. Our most challenged kids, when they show up at kindergarten at the age of 6, are 3 years behind their advantaged peers that have resources. So a lot of our kids were born into trauma, they've lived in trauma, then they're dropped off for kindergarten, and then it's like supposed to be the teacher's problem from there. So that's unfortunately not the way it's going to work out. So the sad truth is that too many kids in our country, in our city, are experiencing traumatic events. It could be physical abuse, sexual abuse, or exposure to violence. And there's all kinds of data that shows these adverse childhood experiences greatly hinder the kids' development and their ability to function in school, with their families, and at work. And it's no secret that trauma disproportionately impacts children and families of color. So as part of our work to create a city of equity and compassion and opportunity, we have to address that and bring more resources to provide healing. This is something that Rashad Abdul-Rahman, our Director of Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhood, Vincent James, who's our Chief for Community Building, we've been talking about this even more extensively in the past 6 months after we've done some benchmarking work with Los Angeles, who's been doing a lot of intensive work around trauma care with folks that have been involved with violent crime and feel like it was a missing piece to the work that we were doing around our people and places strategy. So the question was always is how are we going to get the resources to put more effort toward trauma? That's why this announcement is so huge today. I'm really proud to announce that our Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods has received a $5 million, 5-year federal grant to launch an initiative to promote resilience and equity for Louisville families and young people most affected by trauma, inequity, and violence. Occasionally we get surprises, and sometimes they're good surprises. And so when we received news of this grant, it was like our prayers were answered. Now, there's always going to be more to do, but $5 million is a lot of money, especially a lot of money with the type of budgets that we have and budget restrictions that we have. So we couldn't be more excited about receiving this grant. The Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods, under the leadership of Rashad Abdul-Rahman, will manage the Trauma Resilient Community Initiative in partnership with U of L's Kent School of Social Work and Centerstone, Kentucky. This grant and this partnership is a perfect example on how it takes tremendous community partners, our town and gown partnership, to pull these things together to do the maximum amount of good with. So I couldn't be more excited too about the partners we have on this project. It's a tremendous honor to receive this grant, and also a huge vote of confidence from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for work that's happening here in Louisville. Lots of cities would like to have this grant, but HHS was looking at cities that know how to execute and win on big projects. And the type of work that we've been doing with your metro government, that we've been doing together, we show that we may not be perfect, but we get after these programs and we're getting results. This work will align not only with OSHA's work to prevent violence and help people and communities recover from violence, it also is a perfect alignment with our Office of Resilience and Community Services, led by Eric Friedlander over here. We added resilience to our department name. We're a member of Rockefeller Foundation's 100 Resilient Cities communities. And what we took to Rockefeller was this concept that resilience is not just about responding to weather-related events. It's about building capacity in your people so that they have the resilience to get through difficult times as well. So Eric, thank you and your team for all this wonderful work. And now to get more information about the grant and the work that will make it possible, please welcome the Director for our Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods, Rashad Abdul-Rahman. Rashad, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, folks. I am extremely excited about this announcement. The Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods is honored and excited about the opportunity to lead this project with support from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. I should say we were established by Mayor Fisher in an effort to develop comprehensive public safety initiatives that focus on the root causes of violence. Simply trying to arrest our way to a safer city was never going to be a sufficient strategy to reducing violence. Preventing and interrupting violence is key, but we also need to support and bring resources to bear when community healing is needed. That's why this project, the Trauma Resilient Community Initiative, is so important. We know that we need to have initiatives that genuinely address the ways systems and structures are responsible for creating harmful outcomes for families and communities. It is important that we do the work that addresses the root causes of violence and that we are courageous enough to claim the goal of eradicating systems like racism that lead to so many inequitable outcomes. The Trauma Resilient Community Initiative will allow us to serve 400 children and their families in West and South Louisville, train 200 service providers, another 200 first responders and volunteers, and identify 50 organizations here locally that will adopt trauma-resilient, racially equitable policies and practices. We will develop a community advisory board that will guide a strategic planning process and project implementation throughout the life of the initiative. Those closest to the pain should be closest to the power, so let there be nothing for us without us. We are pleased that we have this opportunity to develop a 5-year project that will focus on alleviating the trauma that communities experience as a result of violence. But we also understand that our work requires us to put into place specific policies, practices, and frameworks that reduce the inequities present in our service provision efforts. For this reason, the project being funded has an intentional and explicit racial equity lens that will allow us to marry efforts that incorporate trauma-resilient practices with racial equity efforts. The Trauma Resilient Community Initiative fits perfectly with the entire body of work led by the Office for Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods, as the mayor has stated earlier. Our mission is to focus on developing a public health approach to reducing violence, and we hold a vision of ensuring that every citizen has an opportunity to live in a neighborhood that is free of violence, to be supported, and to be prepared for lifelong success. Consistent with the work that we are doing with our other efforts, such as One Love Louisville, as the mayor mentioned, or Cure Violence, this endeavor cannot be done alone. We are proud to partner with the University of Louisville's Kent School of Social Work, Centerstone, the Boys and Girls Club, Jefferson County Public Schools, the Center for Trauma Resilient Communities, the Collective Care Center at Spalding University, and many more. We still need everyone to identify how they can join us and be the one to make a difference. Our success will not only be measured by the achievement of the various goals that we've shared here today, but by our entire city embracing a philosophy that fully recognizes the importance of a holistic approach to reducing violence and implementing actions that recognize the powerful, lingering, and insidious impacts of racism and trauma. I want to take this moment to recognize my amazing team, some of which who are up here, some of which are a little bit back there. Please raise your hands and wave, team. This group is directly, yeah. Give it up, give it up. This group is directly responsible for ensuring that we are in a position to earn these kinds of resources and to continue scaling the work that we have been established by the mayor to do. Thank you so much for your hard work, for your dedication, for your commitment, and for making sure that the work we do moving forward is as powerful as the work that we've done thus far. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashad. Congratulations. Thanks for being our leader. This work will be watched nationally. The lens that we have around racial equity, and when you think about racial inequity and why it's so pervasive, oftentimes, usually it's institutionalized through law, through policy. So our ability to understand that further and then change those type of policies, laws, whatever it might be, is something the entire country will be watching. So it's a real honor for our city to be able to lead in this work. Speaking of honor, whenever you go around a lot of good work here in our city and you talk to the people that will be doing it, they frequently will tell you that they're graduates of the Kent School at the University of Louisville. Yeah, let's hear it for the Kent School then. All right, that's what we're talking about here. And I always like to say, Muhammad Ali would say, if it's true, it ain't bragging, okay? So, the Kent School shows up, and they keep doing good work all the time. So I'm particularly pleased with U of L is such a critical partner on this work with us. Dr. Neeli Bendapudi has confirmed multiple times, her desire for the university and our city of Louisville to set the standard for what a really effective town and gown relationship looks like, city and university. So this is just another great opportunity for us to illustrate that. So please welcome Dean David Jenkins of the University of Louisville's Kent School of Social Work, who's going to share some thoughts with us. Dean?
Good afternoon. The Kent School of Social Work at the University of Louisville is pleased to partner with you on this important community-led project. We're thrilled to work on this project because it so closely parallels our own mission to create a just and better world. Our role in the Trauma Resilient Communities Initiative is evidence of our unwavering commitment to ensure that every community member has equitable access to services that work, services that help people recover, and services that help communities heal. Resources such as our highly skilled faculty members and well-trained students will complement the significant assets of the Louisville community as we join together to address the needs of our most vulnerable citizens affected by violence. Several professors on that team are here with me today. To celebrate the start of this initiative, I want to point out two. Dr. Jennifer Middleton is here. She is Director of the Implementation of the project. And Dr. Chantel Crosby. Absolutely. And Dr. Crosby is Director of the Evaluation of the Initiative. So we're excited to be a part of this, so let's get ready to work. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dean. I'd like to also recognize our LMPD members over here. Think about being a police officer in today's world. You're supposed to be an expert not only at public safety and protection, but now be an expert at dealing with homelessness issues, an expert at dealing with mental health issues on the street. And that's been a radical change in terms of policing over the years. So these guys and gals from LMPD have to deal with a lot of stuff. So you got help coming with this grant. We just want to say thank you to our police officers that are here today. Thank you all. We have another outstanding partner in Barbara Sexton Smith over here, who's our Metro Council District person for District 4. I want to say thank you to you, Councilwoman. One of the things I love about the Councilwoman is she understands kind of the system of life and the holistic services that are required to make sure we're a healthy city. So it's a great day for District 4 as well. Centerstone, unbelievable partner. When you think about all the work that Centerstone does all throughout our city and the challenges, the additional challenges that come at us, much like what I talked about with our police officers, the world is rapidly changing in the work that Centerstone does. So for all the good work that you all do here and throughout the community, our living room, many other places, I just want to say thank you. We talk about you all the time in our staff meetings in terms of, what our partnerships look like, how we're working together. It can range from everything from street-level mental health services to the work we do around cradle to career and our educational services and making sure that we're getting the right level of support, mental health support within our schools as well. So Tony Zippel, the president and CEO of Centerstone, has been a great partner with our city efforts on all these things. And Dr. Zippel, I would just like to say to you, he's retiring here at the end of the month, although he's going to live in the community, so he's still going to help us on so many of our nonprofit initiatives. The level of insight and dedication that you brought to this work has been really exemplary, and I really appreciate it, not just coming from you, but the organization that you represent. So Tony Zippel is now going to share a few words with us. I just want to say thank you publicly before you retire. You're a good man.
Yeah, and it's true, I'm not going away. This creates a little more room for me to do all kinds of interesting work, and I'm glad to be here doing it. Frederick Douglass once said that it's easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men. And that says so much about the work that we're all talking about doing here together. The grant that we're talking about allows us to do trauma-informed work, and that's something that we've focused on at Centerstone for a long time. We have multiple locations around the community where we have staff who are based here, Champions Trace, Stone Street. But more importantly, our staff are mobile. Our staff are out on the ground and on the street. Most of the work that we do is mobile. We're in the schools, we're in the homes, we're wherever we are needed to support kids who are experiencing significant trauma. And this grant is going to give us an opportunity to extend that kind of work. It's critical to promote the linkage between recovery and resilience for people and for families affected by trauma. Because when we think about this, it's not just about how do we do things with kids. We're talking about how do we do work with the whole family. We all know the impact that opioids, for example, has had on this community and the impact that that's had on children. To address that, we need to look at trauma for the kids. We need to look at trauma and support for the whole family. And Centerstone will be there to offer that kind of support for kids in the community and for their parents and for the whole family. The kind of partnership that we're talking about here, and we are so proud to be working with Metro government, to be working with U of L and the host of partners that we have here in the community, is really going to make a giant leap forward. And it's going to be great to have Centerstone in the loop for that. We're grateful to Mayor Fisher for his leadership on this. You know, I've been here for 7.5 years now, and Louisville really is now my home and my community. And I tell people all over the country when I'm traveling and talking that I live in a place where one of the pillars of community strategy here, city strategy, is building a compassionate community. And that gets such reaction from people. It's like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Why don't we do it in our town? And so I'm so proud to be here with the mayor and with this group of people and with Louisville that is leading not just work here that's going to be important in this community, but leading work nationally that's going to teach this country how to do great work for kids. If we can help kids to deal effectively with trauma and inequity and violence before they hit adulthood, we stand a better chance of building a much stronger community, not just now, but the next generation as well. And I look forward to being a part of this project in some fashion, and Centerstone will always be there to do this kind of work with our partners here. Thanks, everyone.
All right, I'll close just by repeating what Rashad said. So, you know, if you could close your eyes and look out 5 years from now and compare the level of trauma-informed providers that we have in our community and people we're going to touch. I mean, listen to this. You know, providing trauma treatment to 400 children and their families, train 200 clinicians in trauma interventions, train 200 first responders, volunteers, and community service providers, and special trauma first aid approach to youth mental health, and then involve 50 community agencies serving youth and families. That's a lot. That is like so much, like bigger than what we have right now. So our ability to deliver the right care at the right time and result in people realizing their goals, whatever they might be, that's why today is such a big announcement for our community. So I really appreciate everybody coming together to make this possible, to win this grant, and to all the good work that happens in this building each and every day. So, oh, yes, please, you're going to share some words with us. Is that right?
I'd like to.
Okay, well, then, you know, shame on me for not knowing that, but I'm glad we recovered.
Thank you.
Okay, come on.
My paper wasn't up here ahead of time. Good afternoon. I'm Keith Farrah, lead peer support specialist for Centerstone, Kentucky, and I'm also a trauma survivor. I'm excited to hear about this partnership because trauma-informed care allows people like me the safe space to heal while giving me the tools to understand my own experiences and manage my feelings about those experiences in the healthiest way possible. It also lets me respond to others who have experienced trauma. In my work at the Centerstone Addiction Recovery Center, I see firsthand the effects that trauma has on people years after the experience has happened. Without healthy coping skills and a strong support network, children who have lived through trauma, inequity, and violence turn into adults who find destructive ways to numb the pain. You'll hear it sometimes in our business that hurt people hurt people. There's a better way, and through this important partnership between the city, U of L, and Centerstone, I know that we will be able to promote healing across our community. Trauma-informed care ensures that survivors will be safe and respected as they travel the road to recovery. What many people don't realize about active addiction and alcoholism in particular is that it demands the compromise of one's mind and one's body. And it takes people to places they'd never planned on going and keeps them there much longer than they'd ever planned on staying. Together, we can help heal the wounds of trauma, inequity, and violence across Louisville and create a safe and healthy community where children become thriving, successful adults. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate you, all the great Centerstone team, everybody here. So again, a great day for the city. That's going to a lot of great benefits going to come from this for many, many years. So thanks everybody for coming out today.